Hey, welcome. This is one and only Don. Don Kryptonium, high IQ, low BMI, very clever, very smart, very strong, very masculine, and very wise. Of course, the best crypto pipto that is out there. So, what we are going to discuss today is my favorite NFTs on Stargaze. I will give shout out to more than 5 collections that I personally like, but I also want to give you the guidance to not get lost. So, how to navigate through Stargaze, to avoid the rug pulls, to avoid the scams, to enter the legit communities that you might crave because maybe out there is community that is exactly for you, that you are looking. So this is what we are going to focus today. Make sure you smashing the like button, you subscribing, and you delegating always to Don Kryptonium. Why would you even delegate to others? Let's start. So first thing, we are going to start with this website info.stargaze.zone because it gives you a lot of data. And data is important, because data tells you if someone is active, if someone was a rug, and if the people are still interested in buying the NFT. So you can see, if you get to analytics, you can see the forever. This is the volume. This is how much stars was spent on the secondary market on the collection. You can see the bad kids are leading with the USD value of 830,000, but in reality, it's actually more because Stargaze were dropping a lot. So this value should be probably well above 1 million. And based on that data, you can also learn how much creators earned from the secondary sales, based on the royalties they have. By the way, I was not sniffing anything. I was just sneezing because I have like a itchy nose. I was not powdering this nose, okay? So Forever is the Bad Kids, which is the most popular collection. We have Space Ape Society, which is one of the largest collections. So they brought really a lot of volume. I believe maybe they come from Terra, and they have quite few collections. So we also have Stargaze Citizens, which is quite interesting. I'm not a fan of the AI art, but this one's was one of the first ones, if not the first. So they were very popular. Hero and many others. So you can always use this data to calculate, but what's most important, because for example, you might look at Stargaze Punk and be like, hey, they are super active. But when you narrow this to like last month, for example, you can see the data is very different. So you might be interested to see what is trending recently, and then you will have collections that dropped or collections that stay very relevant. And when you look at this, the Bad Kids is absolutely, the major gem here. Because all of them, forever, 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day, the Bad Kids actually are on the leadership, So let me start with 1 month. And my favorite collection, I will tell you, is Bad Kids. Not because of the community, maybe, because I think the community is so fragmented that it doesn't stay together, but there is community of collectors, I would say. I'm one of them. You always have to pay attention to, for example, number of owners. It tells you how distributed is the collection. So in case of the Bad Kids, you have over 30% unique wallet, which is really great. It's a lot of owners. A lot of people that are not into Stargaze also own the Bad Kids. Many of them own one that maybe they don't even plan to sell in the future. So this is really good data. Also, what you want to see, you want to go to the marketplace and you want to see, how much is being dumped. And what you can see, the floor is very high at around $200. There's only 300 of them for sale, which means there's only 3% of total Bad Kids that are available for sale. Of course, it doesn't mean it will stay the same. Someone might dump, but this is clearly the strongest collection, the people who want to hold it. So I will rank them number 1. Although I want to give the shout out to some others, I sold a bunch of Bad Kids. I still hold a lot. Probably still one of the largest holder. So some of the collections I want to shout out: Pixel Wizard, which is first interactive art again. They seem to stay very active for the last month. But when it comes to the last week, they appear to lost some steam. Let's not judge who is on the number 2 and Feather from now on, because I think there's some dangers. They are well distributed, but a lot of people seems to be selling them, so despite smaller collection, I hope it will be dropping, so I hope this is just like natural path of the distribution. But let me open some collections that I really like. So Space Skillies, they did something special because they brought probably the strongest community. So when it comes to communities, Space Skillies is the strongest community on Stargaze. It's not as big as some of them, but when they launched, I didn't know if just the temporary, if they treat it serious, because I didn't know they passed. I didn't know how strong they were on Terra. But you can see that they really have the real holders there, the people who like this community. And it's truly one of the best community out there. And this reflected in the value of those NFTs. So sorry, it loads a little bit long. I wanted to see how many of them there is for sale. So you can see around 300 for sale. So let's jump to other collections. Of course, SAS Humans collections, SAS Mutant collections, they're all strong, but I'm biased, I have certain liking of the art. For example, I really like pixel art, So I want to give the shout out to the Otherworld, because they started very small and they came out of nowhere. And it's very difficult for someone to start with no community to actually build community. So if you're watching this, Otherworld guys, don't stop and don't ever abandon your community, because then I will be very disappointed and I will be very sad. So they're still quite concentrated, but they built a loyal community out there. Kujirans, the collection that I'm not exposed at all. I don't even like Kujira, but they have a lot of owners and I really like their pixel art. So this is why I wanted to include. Maybe I will buy one because I do really like their art. It's something special. I feel it's weird. So as I said, I really like pixel art. I'm not exposed. I don't even like Kujira, but I like this NFT. Okay. Then what we have here, we have recently came Doghouse, some strong community. I hope they will follow the path of the Space Skillies, that they lost the steam after launch a little bit, but then coming stronger and stronger. Colonial Cats, collection that is having really strong holders because it has utility, and this DAO share the revenues with them, so it doesn't have very high volume here. Let's see for the last week, because there is Adora that I obviously want to mention. I hold a bunch of them. They are very well distributed. Over 300 holders, but you need to know that I'm one of the largest holder as well, and there is not many of them for sale. There is like 7% which is pretty good for Stargaze. The collection that I want to shout out is Starty, specifically Honor Starty. They don't have much of the volume, but I'm a huge fan of Starty. It's one of Genesis collectors, and now she worked for Stargaze. The problem is the royalties are very high, so I hope we will be able to change it one day, and that she will do, but this is one of my favorite pixel art that is on the Stargaze, so I'm always happy to give her shout out. Of course, I do believe that everyone I mention, is good community, and they're active. There is some collections that were strong, but they don't seem so attached to the Stargaze, There's Andromapunks, which is one of the best pixel collection that I ever seen. But I don't think they're active. I might actually buy a few of them. Let me see their Twitter, if Andromapunks is active. I think the Andromaverse, right? So this is like different. This is like really big community. So they do stay quite active. So I was thinking maybe I should buy it, And they actually have another collection which is called The Founders. So I didn't know about this, yeah? Yeah, this is another day collection. So I actually didn't know. So I'm just finding out this collection, which is trending and has ultimate, very like high floor. And it's very small collection, So it appears to be very scarce. And the floor is already at 4,000, so they still active. Really glad to see. So shout out to them. But now let's focus on what to avoid, okay? Because many people get hooked up on something, and I did some of these mistakes. So there is this collection that I really like, it's Workouts, because I like pixel art. So the other time the other day, I'm going to the workouts and, I'm thinking maybe I will swap the floor because the floor is below 100 stars. They appear to be quite active. But when I go to Twitter, you guys minted out, community was quite strong. When you look at the workouts, over 1,000 owners, it's really well distributed, over 30% of unique wallets, and you can't really see activity since 8th of the January. So this is really sad to see because there is some great collections that I felt had potential, but they kind of maybe abandoned community. Let me know if they're active maybe on Discord, because maybe I'm missing something, Also, when we go to collections, I want to show you something. There is a lot of collections that appear to be scams, that appears to be dropped without really even good metadata. And I got hooked up on this. I'm burning all of them, that appear like this. So how to recognize them, Let's see this one. I'm quite confident because they all have similar, they look similar, right? So let me open this one. Let's see if there is more. Sassy Girls. All of them have the same thing in common. It's small collection. And when you look at them, when you look at the threads, they don't even have the right metadata. They would have rarity, legendary, age, and sensitivity. They don't really have the threads. So I'm not touching this. You will never find a community. Let's see this one. Maybe that's the real one. So this is the same, age, gang, sign, another fake collection. Who is dropping that? And this, it seems like this group of people drop tens of collections. As I said, they're usually very small and very cheap. And it appears they might be actually stealing these collections from the other marketplaces. There is another collection you can recognize. It's the same. They don't really have the real metadata here. It's fake done metadata. So be careful of this and always pay attention to these things to avoid the scams. You can always reach to people. And as I said, check the Twitter, check the socials to see if they're actually legit. So with that, I hope I covered some of the stuff. There is more and more collections, so it's more difficult to cover. Hopefully I will be able to do one soon. If you are artist, I want to say that, if you are artist and you have your own community and you have fire collection, especially no utility collection, but just great art that you want to drop to people because it's really fun, hit me up, okay? I'll try to help you. So with that, Don Kryptonium's out. Till the next time. That was for the thumbnail.